After driving Jonathan's body nearly 200 miles north of the crime scene in Jonathan's own car, deep into the North Woods, the defendant decapitated Jonathan, wrapped his head in a tarp, and placed it in a grave.
Not only had she been threatened with a gun in her mouth and beaten severely and ordered by Armando to participate in this conduct of destroying evidence, concealing evidence, depending on what aspect of it you're looking at. Armando, in fact, had access to her daughter and later did have custody of their daughter. So beyond fearing for her own life, even after she was left alone, she had no idea what else he was going to go do.
All right, those are the lawyers arguing in court in what I'm calling the gruesome love triangle murder case. And you're looking at, this is Brittany Barron. Now, if you look at the picture on the left, this is Brittany Barron when she is married to a man named Armando and is having an affair with a man named Jonathan, allegedly. That picture on the right is after her lover is killed by Armando and after she had allegedly cut his wrists while he was alive, but before he was shot, and then decapitated him after he was shot and was dead. Now, she claims that she was beaten by her husband Armando and forced to do all those things. So I posted this story on social media and asked a question, and it's not an easy one. This woman, Brittany Barron, is she a criminal or a victim? A criminal or a victim? You know, you saw the pictures. You kind of know the story. This is a tough one for everyone involved. And investigators are conceding that she was beaten by her husband. They've conceded that in filings. All right, so we begin with our 13th juror comment of the day coming from Carol tonight, who writes, absolutely a victim. Having an affair may not be morally right, but she was not happy in the marriage. But everything that followed is horrible. She was frightened of her husband, and the husband is truly an animal and went crazy. He forced her to do those horrendous acts as punishment. It is sick. She's been charged with falsifying evidence. He's been charged with the murder. They're both locked up without bond right now. Bernardo Villalona, what do you think? Is she a criminal or a victim? How do you see it?
So, Benny, it's a tough case, but I can tell you, having tried homicides, prosecuted homicides for 10 years, that unfortunately you run across a lot of these cases where a woman is a domestic violence victim and she does do certain criminal acts as a result of duress. But like you can see in this case, the prosecutor already did the investigation and determined that the homicide itself, that whatever assistance she provided, she was acting under duress. She was a victim. She was forced to do this. She was in fear of death, of serious bodily injury, as shown all over her face. And thus, that's why they're not prosecuting her for the homicide. She is only being prosecuted for the falsifying evidence, because at that time, even though she was acting under duress for the homicide, when she was trying to hide the body, the torso of this man she was having sex with, at that time, her husband was not in the area. She was caught by herself with the body, with the car of the deceased.
And a cell phone. Warren writes tonight, this doesn't matter. She still participated in the murder of this man. She should be punished, put to death. She knew exactly what she was doing. Jeffrey Wolf, how do you see her, as a criminal or a victim?
I see her as a victim. We're really screaming for the death penalty tonight on the show. It's really troubling. But ultimately, at the end of the day, that you don't do what is going on her face to yourself. And when somebody savagely beats somebody like that and participates in this grisly murder the way that her husband did, to say that she, like we just said, she was acting in duress. This is not somebody who had a choice of what was going to happen here. She likely would have been a second body next to her boyfriend's if she hadn't at least played along in some fashion. She's a victim.
Daryl tonight, she was a victim of domestic violence and forced into doing the horrific acts that her husband demanded she did. Nima, how do you see her? She was in that car by herself with a cell phone for 3.5 hours.
Yeah, she's a participant and a victim. You can be both. You know, she's the victim of domestic violence. They're not charging her with murder. But the real victim here, Vinny, is Jonathan. Why isn't anyone talking about him? He's savagely beaten and shot, and she participated. So you absolutely cannot give her a walk. What she's getting is an early Christmas gift. She should absolutely take that deal. And as far as death penalty, yeah, Armando, what he did, that should be a capital case.
Philip tonight, 100% criminal. She likes to blame someone else for her actions. Bernarda, does she end up being a witness, do you think, in the husband's trial?
Absolutely. I think that the prosecution already made that determination because they need her in order to prove the man's guilt. If not for her, they do not have sufficient evidence to show that her husband was the one who killed her boyfriend. So that's why they have to use her. They have to make a deal for her to testify against him. They need her.
Kylie, tonight, this is a tough one, but if she did this fearing for her life, she's a victim. No one would voluntarily do something this gruesome unless they were mentally unstable. We have about 20 seconds here. Jeffrey Wolf, are you surprised that she's being held without bond?
I am extremely surprised she's being held without bond. She has a child, and as everyone has pointed out, she is not charged with the highest crimes in this case. It doesn't smell right to me. I think they're doing it to put the pressure on her to get the type of testimony that they want to get and the type of plea that they want to get. It's been mentioned over and over again. Prosecutors love to hold things over people's heads to get what they want, and that's, I think, what they're doing here. I don't think she should be sitting in custody.
All right. Incredible insight tonight. What a panel. Bernarda Villalona, Jeffrey Wolf, and, of course, Nima Romani. Thank you all so much. Please come back soon.